What? For me, it's not working. Wait, my meeting is going on. Sorry for the disturbance. We will just get started in a minute here. And yeah, we should get started soon. Um, Welcome to you guys. If you're watching this live, that's great. Otherwise, this is an archive. So yeah. All right. What's up? Hi everyone. I'm Pranav Savla. Of course, you know who I am. Welcome back to another supplement lecture in RN50, and this time we're actually live. And today's not really a lecture, as it is more of just me showing whatever we've learned, and I'll be taking a few of your doubts as we go along. And basically, we'll be do whatever we've learned so far. We'll be applying it in the RN articles app that we're going to create, and we're also going to hint at some lists, which I'm going to talk about again in the next lecture. So it's kind of like a pre-release of lists. But yeah, so one second, I'm just checking the stream. All right. Uh, Just a few things before we get started. If you do have any questions at all, feel free to just write it in the chat, and I will get it right from there. I will periodically be checking messages um, to see if there are any questions. And if you do have any code suggestions, you can write them as well. At the end of this, I will put a link to the snack where I will store the code. So you can check it out there. All right. All right. For a bit of a context before we get started, let's just talk about what we really, did so far. So basically, we just talked about, we started with React. So we're not going to be focusing much on React today, more of just what we did in React Native. That's in the past 6 weeks. And to give you a little context, we talked about React Native, we talked about components, we talked about the differences between React Native and web, and most likely we talked about the different components, importing and exporting, user input. We even dived into navigation and getting data from data stores. So how do we apply these lessons learned in the app? So the basic way would be, all right, just gonna share that. So if I go to the command prompt and navigate to directory, I'm going to clear app.js. All right. And basically, the first thing that we need to make is actually a login screen. Okay. Now, I'm not going to add any logic to this because we've not talked about post requests. But if I do feel like it, I will write the API and show you exactly what. Before that, all right. So pretty quiet. So we need to create a login form, right? All right. The best way to do that would just be to say import React from React, and we'll import view text button. What else do we need? Well, we need a let's just keep it like this. React Native. I'm actually going to install a thing here, yarn add constants, because we can style this this app. So I'm going to check one thing in Chrome real quick here. Is one thing that I didn't show you in class is, you remember we talked about styling the app? Well, most phones have a status bar at the top, and usually you could just bring your content down so that it doesn't hide it by giving it an arbitrary value of some padding top. But the problem with that is, say I have my phone here, this screen size would be different than your screen size, and the pixel density will be different, right? So what the problem that creates is, as you keep doing, as you make deploy your application for different platforms, it will be inconsistent across devices. So the problem that will create is that it's going to look different depending on the device that you are. And by that, I don't mean that it's going to truncate itself. It's actually the padding is going to be the same. So on some devices, it'll actually not hide the status bar, and on some it will, because they use the newer 18:9 aspect ratios. So instead of that, Expo actually provides, and by Expo I mean the tool that we used, Expo, to build our applications, to initialize the application, and basically to just give us a suite of tools, right? And to make our whole process of coding in React Native easier. It provides us with this library called Expo Constants, and if I go to the docs, if I go to the Expo Constants constants, and if you look at the docs here, so it basically provides a lot of constants that basically you can use throughout the lifetime, and you can see installation, Expo constants. You can just say import constants from Expo constants. I'll just maximize this. And you can see there are a lot of constants here. We've got app ownership, device name, device year class, Expo version. Yeah, not really. What we do need is constants.status bar height. So what we can do, so I'm gonna keep this doc open, and I'm gonna also import style sheet from React Native, and I'm gonna, oops, I'm gonna import constants from expo dash constants. I'm gonna look at my, it's still adding it, but that's okay. We can still write the code through that. And we can just say export default. I'm gonna keep this as a class because usually I personally prefer just to use classes because they're much simpler. And if you want to add functionality, it's much easier than actually doing it in a function. So I'll just call this login or login, and we'll extend React.component. Well, what does that do? Well, if you remember that, we'll just take whatever is there in React.component, what we imported, and it'll let us basically use those functionalities. All right. We'll have a render, and we can return something here. So I can say view. I can return a view which will have a style of styles.container, and styles.container will be defined in the style sheet below. So style sheet just lets us abstract all our styles into a different component or a different object. I can give a text of text. I can give this a style of styles.header, and I can just call this login to RN articles. Right? All right. Then I can just have a button. So for now, all this is gonna do is you press the button, it will log you in, and it'll just show you an alert that says login. I can have a button, have a title of login. It will have a accessibility label. If you remember, this is what is read by screen readers, and I'll just say log in on press equals. I can just say this dot login. And that's it. All right. Close the view. Close that. And I can just say login equals no parentheses, nothing, no arguments, and you can see this is the arrow syntax that we talked about. And I can just say alert. Welcome to RN articles. You are logged in. Alright, so now let's define our style sheet. So I'm actually alright, so that's installed as well. So I can just say const styles equals style sheet.create, and in here I'm gonna give a style called container. Have one second, I'm just gonna check something in a code sample. So oops. So if you look at the code here, I'm just checking exactly what. Alright, cool. So the way we can do this is we're gonna give it a flex of 1, which will basically mean Fill all the space that you can. I'm gonna give it a padding top of constants dot status bar height. If that is right, actually. Oh yeah. Oh, the H is not capitalized. All right. Save that file. I'm just gonna save. I'm gonna give a align items code. This is gonna be centered. Oh no, I don't want it there, actually. I'm gonna. Okay, never mind. This is done. And I'm gonna put a comma here. I had set the style header. Okay, so I can say header, and all I'm gonna have here is font weight. I'm gonna give this a bold font weight. And we'll close that. Hopefully, if I run expo start, and while this server waits, all right. So that's quite silent actually. So we're waiting for the service to start. You can just do expo start. Now I'm gonna run this in the browser, just like I usually run it, because I feel running I usually do run it in Expo, the client on my phone, but the problem here is I'm just not able to mirror it to my computer. So I'm just gonna show it in the browser, but it will suffice it to say it will look mostly the same, yeah, if not exactly the same on the phone. All right, so it's gonna start. Oh, okay, it's done. So now it's gonna take time to open it in a web browser, and hopefully, oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay, I'm gonna open another terminal window here. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the directory because we may need. Alright, so I just need to clear out. Alright, so it's gonna take some time to open this. Now, you could do this by just, doing expo start. Usually also a developer tools window opens up on your computer, which is a graphical interface of the same thing, so it's a little more interactive. But I personally just prefer disabling it. It is very resource heavy and takes up a lot of memory, so that's why. Also, we will be learning a few more things in this supplement lecture. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it's going to start the web pack. In fact, you guys can actually in this. Just gonna check. So it is loading the stuff into basically serving it up so we can connect. Hopefully it doesn't break. Alright. Okay, so it is loading into YouTube. Sorry, what am I saying? It's loading this. Oh, okay, so it's almost done. Yup. My phone. Okay. Oh, I need to reopen that. Okay. For some reason, it broke. So. Oh, okay. I think. Oh, we may have a small bug. And if we also look at some other things. Uh, okay, for some reason that's not. I'm gonna try it again. Oh, that's weird. Oh, it didn't open the. For whatever reason, it didn't open it. Or what if we? Okay, that's weird. I'm gonna close this window and retry opening the. Oh, alright. Oh, okay, it's not opening now. And you can see, it's completely styled. And if I click login, and it just shows that alert. Alright, but that's usually not a very secure way to log in, right? So if we open up app.js, this is not a very secure way to log in, is it? I mean, usually you kind of log in a much more secure way. Um, so basically, you enter some text like passwords and usernames. And to do that, we can, of course, use uh, this thing called text input. And for this, we'll actually need a state. And state is just a data management system. Now, I am not indenting this, but it is usually good practice. I just, quicker code writing, so I'm kind of messy with that. So in the state, it's just an object, so username, it'll be empty, string, password, it'll be an empty string. All right, so now we can save that, and all right, okay, so now we can have, so if we look at previous code, that we so if you look at the app that we already wrote for using text input, so if we look here, second, so if we look at the text input, we specify a placeholder. We have an on-change text. That's it. All right. So let's use this actually. So before this login button, let's actually have a few text inputs. So let's add a text input with a placeholder of enter your username on change text equals this.update username. Oh, I need to check one thing. My bad. Alright, so if you look at our function in this, alright, cool. So what we can do here is, I can just close that, and we can just have the button. So before the login, we can just have another thing that says update username equals text equals greater. We'll set the state to username colon text. That's it. All right. So for this, what we can also do here is we can say you're logged in as this dot state dot username and then just put an exclamation mark. Whoops, didn't want to put an S there. All right, save that. We can enter a username here. I can. Alright, so let's style this. I'm gonna add another style here. That's just called fill. If you remember from the previous app that we wrote, I'm just gonna say flex:1. And that's it. So if we go back to this text input, controls, I'm just gonna say view style equals. So we can pass styles.fill here. And I'm gonna close the view here. So looks a little better. Alright, so we also want to check, I could just not enter a username and it's going to do that. So we could just how do we check if the user has actually entered a username? Well, one way would be to actually alert an error if there's nothing in the string, but easier way is actually to go to if you remember from this alphabet app, we go down here, in state, and we add a disabled flag, set that to true. And I'm going to add a disabled equals, and instead of actually passing any value here, I'm just going to say this.state dot disabled. And what I can do in the update username, I can add a brace here, this.state username, text and disabled false. And hopefully, if I didn't, and you can see that button is grayed out. Enter. It automatically does that. Alright, but a username is not really. Actually, before we get to that, you don't want an alert box telling you, right? We want something more to happen, right? So what we can do is add something else to this state. After the disable, show login : true. Alright. And in the render, I can just say if this dot state dot login, and I can say else return view I can say text style equals styles.header, and I can just say welcome text. I can add another text that says you are logged in as this.state.username. Put a full stop after that. Close that. Close the view. And let's actually add a logout. Equals logout accessibility label equals log out on press equals this dot log out log out And I can also have, that's it. Close that. Close the view. Close that. Close that. Close that. Oh, whoops. Oh, that's an extra. All right, sorry for that, guys. The net just died. So we need to change a few things here. Change that to true. And see, it just doesn't work. The log on button won't work. I'll share that again. All right, so now in the, all right. So now we need to change a few things. So in the login, instead of having the alert, I'm just gonna have a equals greater than, and I'm gonna set the set state and show login colon. I'm gonna set this to true. All right. Oh no, sorry, not true. False. And oh, so now I can set a log out function and set the state to show login colon true. Save that. And see, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. All right, so if we go back here to state, disable set to true, show login is set to true. Oh, okay. So we need to add an I that's capitalized. And you can see now that it's asking for a username, so I can say Pranav, I can log in, and I'm logged in as Pranav. I can go back. It doesn't work. Why? You can see I hit the log out button. It doesn't work. Not at all. So if we look,
Okay, I'm waiting here.
so
Long time message you know.
so we've set the logout, and the reason for that is this O is capitalized. All right, I can say Pranav again and log in, and you can see that works. All right, but so this is gonna be a multi-part stream, and 1 second, I'm just gonna stop my share for a second. So see, what I'm gonna check is actually, I'm just gonna check. Okay, live chat's quite quiet. It's pretty quiet. So one more thing. So the last thing that I'm gonna show for this one, the first revision one, is now this is fine, but this is not really secure, right? You always need to have a password. All right, so pretty simple. Go back to app.js. I can have another text input placeholder. I can say enter your password. Um, uh, on change text equals. I can just say this dot update password. That's it. All right. So we can write that function pretty simply. You know the deal. And just before login, I'm gonna say update password equals text equals greater than this dot set state password colon text. Um, I can also say well, just simply disabled colon false and close the state, close that. Oh no, that was in the wrong order. Now it's in the correct order. Now, one more thing that we could just do is run that. It's asking for my username. I can say Pranav. I can say RN50 is my password. And now, say I just enter my username, right? But I don't enter my password. Just see what happens. It just, well, it still errors, right? And you can see disabled set to true. What I could also do here is go back to log out, go there and set disabled colon, set that to true. All right. One more thing that we could do is just say exclamation point this dot state dot disabled, which will basically flip the value of this dot state dot disabled. And now if you check Pranav, log in, and that works. All right. So however, you can notice that I can enter my password, but not. I mean, I can enter one field and leave the other, but it still works, right? Now, to fix that, I could just go to the login and clear this login. I can say if this dot what this dot state dot username, and so I'm just checking if both of them are not equal to empty strings. This dot state dot password, just say that, and in there I'm just gonna say if they're not equal to empty strings, I'm just gonna say this dot set state show log in colon false. All right, close the if statement, close that. Hopefully, if I haven't. All right, so if I now leave it as that, it works. Why? All right, that's weird. Oh, what if I change these? All right, save. All right, it still works for some reason. That's weird. So if you look at this, if this dot, okay, could someone tell me why why this bug occurs? So here's a chance for you. Here's a chance for you to spot the bug. There's something that's wrong with this login function. So I'm saying login, and I'm checking if this dot set. Oh well, if you look, there's actually. Oh, didn't want to do that. All right, close that. And if I open app.js, and we're going to look back at the login function, but first we're actually going to look on Google because there is a function to check if the length. So if we check the length, and if we remove this if statement, and I could just say if this dot state dot username dot length is less than 1, and this dot state dot username dot length, oh no, not username, password dot length is less than 1, and hopefully it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It keeps you on the screen, right? Now if I enter pranav, enter both, it's still errors. All right. So I'm gonna leave you guys with this, and see what you guys can think up. And tomorrow, or maybe before that, we are going to continue and see how to fix this bug. All right. So thanks for attending this session, and I will see you guys later.